Welcome to Mild Moodcast, a podcast meant to explore mental health through the lens of another human hanging on by a thread. I'm Bianca, a registered mental health counselor intern, soon to be LMHC, here to chat about the topics we don't get enough of. So grab your headphones and let's dive into the crazy world of mental health. It's going to be a wild ride. Welcome back to another episode, guys. Today is all about breaking the manifestation illusion. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to say before we get started. I have a disclaimer. I want to take a moment to share a little reminder. While my podcasts are designed to be helpful and provide insight, they don't replace the value of working with a therapist. Yes, I am a therapist, but unless you're one of my clients listening, and if you are, hi, I'm not your therapist. That being said, I strongly encourage you to reach out for support if you're navigating something that feels heavy. Therapy can be such a powerful tool, and I hope this podcast feels like a gentle nudge toward understanding yourself better. But please know it's okay to ask for help. I realized that I had been doing these episodes and I didn't have any sort of disclaimer, which, it's common sense that I'm a therapist, but I'm not your therapist. But this doesn't take away from the work that you can do with someone who knows you and knows all of the things that you go through. The second thing I want to talk about for a second is kind of the way I woke up this morning, because I feel like it would be inauthentic if I didn't talk about it. The entire focus of this podcast is to talk about the things that people don't talk about enough. And I woke up feeling so heavy today. Like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything heavy. But you know what's funny? I also woke up with the idea of it's podcast day. I want to do my next episode. I'm so excited because I think about these things, all week long. I plan for them. But it's like I am sad and I'm excited at the same time. I remember a time someone asked me, how can you be sad and excited together? And I had to come up with something. And this is just another great example of the way that you can look at yourself and your emotions and see that you're feeling more than one thing. It's important for me to recognize that I woke up feeling heavy this morning. It's important for me to know that I didn't want to do anything. And I'm so glad it's Sunday, because honestly, when this is over, I might just crawl back in bed. And that's just me being real, because I know that it's something that I need for myself. Instead of feeling guilty, instead of thinking, no, you have to push through and you have to do this, that, and the third, I know that I'm making a decision, or whatever decision it is that I do make going forward is going to be the decision I need. Just wanted to talk about that. All right, moving on. Have you ever wondered if the reason you're not manifesting what you want is because you're not trying hard enough? Or maybe you're not high vibe enough? Let's clear that up today. This idea that you're blocking your blessings because of a bad day or negative thoughts is not only unhelpful, but it's harmful. Manifestation has been sold as a quick fix, and that is not fair to the real work of growth and healing. In this episode, we are diving into the truth about manifestation myths, the role of struggle, and why none of it means you're broken or failing. So let's think about why this myth exists. Manifestation culture often promotes the idea that if something isn't working, it's because you are the problem. Your energy, your mindset, your emotions are wrong. And it creates a cycle of shame. Every negative thought or emotion becomes proof that you're sabotaging yourself. But here's the truth: you're not blocking yourself. Life is complex, and sometimes things don't happen on your timeline. And it's funny because I woke up this morning just feeling sad, and I could have immediately told myself that I was wrong. I could have immediately told myself that I was the problem, but I didn't. I chose to meet myself with kindness. If you think about someone recovering from trauma, are they blocking abundance? Or are they processing things that take time? Healing isn't linear. So why would manifestation be? You are not low vibe. You're human. And it's okay to honor that without feeling guilty about not being in perfect alignment 24/7. I say that the universe is not that sensitive. You can have a bad day. Manifestation is usually misinterpreted as magical thinking. Like if you believe hard enough, everything will fall into place. But the reality is more nuanced. It's about alignment, but not with a perfect life. It's alignment with your truth, your actions, and your values. Sometimes that alignment includes struggle or rest. And I'm going to say that again. Sometimes alignment includes struggle or rest. Here's a good example. Say you're trying to manifest a new job, but you're in a season of burnout. Instead of pushing harder, alignment might mean stepping back, reassessing what you truly want, and focusing on recovery first. I think that's a lot of people's issue in general, is thinking, I just have to brute force it. I have to push to get through to what I need. And it doesn't work like that. We end up breaking ourselves trying to make these changes and then not being able to maintain the changes we pushed for. Sometimes alignment means stepping back and helping yourself get to a safer place first. It isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about working with your reality, not against it. There's a huge difference between being broken and struggling. Struggle doesn't mean that you're not making progress. Let that sink in for a minute. Struggle doesn't mean you're not making progress. It means you're growing, even if it doesn't feel like it. It happens so often where people are like, I am not making any progress. Sometimes I sit with my clients and they will think that nothing has changed. And because they share these things with me, obviously I've got a memory bank filled with things that they've done. So I go, well, let's walk through some of the things that you have done. And they're like, I can't think of anything. So I'll bring up a couple things. And that causes their mind to have this reaction where they're like, oh, that reminded me of this time, which reminded me of this time, which reminded me of this. And now we're at the end of it. And they're like, I've been making progress this entire time. And it's funny because even personally, there were times when I thought, why isn't this working? What am I doing wrong? And looking back, I realized I wasn't failing. I was navigating a season I needed to move through. In the last episode, and if you haven't listened to it, you should, I talked about, grief being a season and how long we wanted that season to go on for. And this in and of itself is another season. It's another type of season. And it isn't about rushing through it. It's about recognizing what you need to get through it. Because that's people's problem. You feel the slightest amount of struggle and you just want to get the hell out of there. And I can't blame you. No one likes to feel discomfort. No one likes to feel pain. You know, maybe the thing that you're trying to manifest isn't what you need right now. Or maybe it's coming in a way you don't expect. Struggle doesn't negate the process. It's part of it. And like heavy on what if you're trying to manifest isn't what you need right now? Because sometimes we will think that we need something so badly. I just need this, and if I could have it, everything would change. And in reality, it would make things worse. So it's really important, and I talk a lot about checking in with yourself, but truly aligning what it is that you want with the decisions that you're making, with the emotions that you're feeling, because it's more than just, I'm going to jump and I'm going to do this thing. It's, I'm having these feelings and maybe I'm too afraid to bring them to the forefront to understand what they're trying to tell me. So what if instead of fighting your struggle, you learn to lean into it with compassion? What would change if you trusted that struggle is part of your alignment? You know, manifestation works best when it's rooted in gentleness. So I'll walk you through a couple ways to approach it without shame. And for the most part, I try not to, tell people what to do, but I also find such value in, here's a couple of things that you might want to try. Like, obviously, I want this to be conversational. I don't want this to sit here and be me giving you different things, but I do want to give you food for thought. So if we were to approach manifestation without shame, that might look like focusing on small, actionable intentions instead of forcing big results. Ask yourself, what do I need in this moment to feel aligned? Embrace the idea that rest, struggle, or even failure can be stepping stones, not setbacks. And that counts for work, and that counts for friendship, it counts for romantic relationships. It's a stepping stone. Am I learning something as a result of this? Am I learning something about myself? Instead of asking, why isn't it working? Try, what do I need to let go of right now? How can I work with where I'm at instead of fighting it? What small steps feel good to take today? If you notice with those 3 questions, it isn't, how can I get closer to my goal? What do I need to do to make change to get there? And that change question isn't so bad, but the point is we as people, we work so damn hard to try to force outcomes. And I am so guilty. My God, I'm so guilty of trying to force outcomes. And we do it so unconsciously, it's not even funny. You'll post things on social media for other people to see. You will start to, this is kind of dramatic, but eat lunch around people that you know are certain business people in hopes that you'll spark up a conversation, to throw your hat in there, to get them to see who you are, to get them to choose you. We cling so tightly to outcomes that we forget about the process I said in another episode that we have to pay more attention and enjoy the journey and focus less on the destination, and this is no different. If I'm not comfortable allowing myself to rest, I need to know why. Whose voice is in my head saying I'm not allowed to take a break? Because if that break is purposeful, I'm not saying that you are sitting there, doing absolutely nothing with no plan to do nothing. I'm saying, just like I said earlier, I might climb back in bed after this because I'm allowed to do that, because I know that it's something I need to invest in myself. We, as a society, just look down on people wanting to recuperate their energy, and that hurts my heart, because it is just as important to take care of you as it is to work toward your goals. Hell, is more important to take care of you than it is to work toward your goals. I like to think of how, like at jobs, if somebody passes away, the first thing a job does, beyond like send out that email that says, hey, such and such, it's no longer with us, they post the job description and they start hiring. These jobs don't care about us. They care about continuing to make money. And we throw ourselves away and throw our needs away for the sake of staying in spaces that were never really meant for us in the first place. So really think about that. Why am I so uncomfortable with gaining my energy back, with shifting my mindset? What is standing in my way? How can I work with where I'm at instead of fighting it? Manifestation isn't about forcing outcomes. It's about creating space for what's meant to come into your life on its own terms. Because the second you start to hyper-focus on something and it's going to happen this way and da-da-da-da-da, that's then going to push it further back. It's going to create a bump in the road. It's going to slow down the progress because you're not learning your lesson. Your lesson might be rest. Your lesson might be struggle. Your lesson might be, hey, you're not listening to the way that you're feeling because you're too busy trying to work it away. You're too busy trying to video game it away. You're too busy trying to smoke it away. Like I talked about before, it's all connected. And until we start to look at those parts of ourselves and figure out what it is that we need to let go of and figure out the steps that we can take, it's going to keep pushing that outcome further and further. Now, does that mean it's unattainable? No, it's not saying that you have to learn every freaking lesson there is in life for your manifestations to come to fruition. It's just saying that if you place this expectation on them, it's not going to happen instantaneously. You start to do little things that then cultivate that safety. You start to recognize that you need to rest, and you start to rest, and then it starts happening, and then your timeline starts moving. Struggle isn't proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're living, that you're learning and growing. You don't need to have it all figured out to manifest the life you want. You just need to trust the process and trust yourself. And by far, that has been one of the hardest lessons for me. Trust the process and trust yourself. I feel like I sit at a place now where I trust myself way more than I ever have in my entire life. Sometimes I question. It's human. It's normal. But trusting the process, oof, that and Bianca were not synonymous. We weren't friends. I didn't know how to go with the flow. I didn't know how to release that control. And some days I backslide so bad still, because it's not about being perfect. And if you notice my tone, I don't beat myself up for backsliding. Does it get frustrating? Yeah. Does it make you cry? Sometimes. But learning to trust the process is so important. It is, in fact, the most important. Because what did I say? Manifestation comes on its own terms. We have to be able to create the space. If we cling to the idea of what we want or what we think we need, we're not creating space for what is meant to be there. If we hang on to these fears, to our past decisions, to the hurt parts of us, those kids pulling on our pant leg from the other episode, we're not creating space for what is supposed to come. So ask yourself today, what do I need to let go of right now? How can I work with where I'm at instead of fighting it? And see what you find. Thank you for listening again today, guys. Sometimes these will be long and sometimes they'll be short, but I truly appreciate every single one of you for hearing me. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Mild Moodcast. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. If you have any burning questions or topics you'd like me to cover, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me on YouTube at Mild Moodcast and Instagram at Mild Mood Therapy. Let's keep the conversation going and continue to explore the wonderful world of mental health together. Until next time, stay curious and keep smiling.